My name is Margaret Ellis, and I turned 70 last month. For most people, that milestone might mean a big family gathering, cake with too many candles, grandchildren running around with sticky fingers, and cards filled with loving messages. For me, it meant sitting alone at my kitchen table with a single slice of store-bought chocolate cake, the kind I used to buy for everyone else's birthdays. The house was silent, except for the hum of the refrigerator and the faint ticking of the wall clock my late husband, Harold, had hung 40 years ago. I stared at the flickering candle, one fat number 70 instead of 70 individual ones, and made a wish before blowing it out. I wished for the courage to stop being invisible. To understand how I reached that moment, I need to go back a few years. Actually, more than a few. Harold passed in 2015 from a sudden heart attack. We had been married 43 years, raised 3 children, my eldest son Daniel, now 48, my daughter Sarah, 45, and my youngest, Ethan, 42. They all live within a 2-hour drive, have decent jobs, homes, spouses, and children of their own. On paper, they are successful. In practice, they became very comfortable letting their mother carry more than her share. It started innocently enough after the funeral. Daniel's auto repair shop hit a rough patch during a bad economy. "Just a short-term loan, Mom," he said. "Business will pick up in spring." I wrote the check for $18,000. It was never repaid, not because he couldn't, but because things kept coming up. Sarah wanted to take her family to Disney World. "The kids deserve magic, Mom, and we've been so stressed." Another $6,200. Ethan and his wife needed help with the down payment on a bigger house after their second child, $25,000. I never asked for interest or even a thank you note. I told myself this was what mothers do. But over time, the requests became assumptions. By 2021, the pattern was clear. Birthdays, anniversaries, graduations, Christmas. I was expected to contribute generously. Yet I was rarely invited to the actual celebrations. "You understand, Mom," Daniel would say. "It's more of a young family thing." Sarah once told me straight, "We don't want to drag you into all the chaos. You like your quiet time." Ethan simply stopped mentioning events until afterward, when he'd send photos and casually add, "Wish you could have been there. Maybe next time." Next time never came. The real erosion happened with the grandchildren. Lily, Daniel's daughter, now 16, Mason, Sarah's son, 12, and little Ava, Ethan's youngest, 7, used to run into my arms when they visited. Now they barely looked up from their phones. When they did speak, it was usually to ask for money, birthday tash, graduation gifts, just a little help with new sneakers or concert tickets. I gave, always. And every year on my birthday, silence. In 2022, they forgot completely. No call, no text. I told myself they were busy. 2023, a group text on July 11th, 2 days late, from Sarah. "OMG, Mom, sorry we missed it. Kids had finals and soccer tournaments. Love you, heart." 2024, Daniel called on July 13th. "Hey, Mom, Ethan reminded me yesterday was your birthday. Sorry, work's insane." 2025, nothing. Not even a late text. This year, 2026, I turned 70 on July 9th. I waited until 8 p.m. No phone rang, no doorbell, no "Happy birthday, Grandma" video from the grandkids. Instead, I learned through Facebook, which I rarely check, that all 3 families were together at a rented lake house 4 hours north. Sarah posted photos, barbecue, jet skis, sparklers at dusk. Caption, "Best week ever with my favorite people." Not one photo included me. Not one story mentioned, "Wish Grandma was here." I sat on the couch with my laptop open to those pictures and felt something crack inside. Not heartbreak exactly, but the final thin thread of denial. They hadn't forgotten. They had chosen not to include me, and I had spent the last decade choosing to let them. That night, I didn't cry. I made tea, opened my financial folder, and started adding numbers. Since Harold's death, I had given them $18,000 to Daniel's shop, never repaid, $42,000 across 4 emergency loans to Ethan, $31,000 in vacation contributions, Christmas funds, and grandkid college starter accounts for Sarah. Countless smaller amounts: car repairs, medical copays, furniture, appliances, even a new roof for Ethan's house because insurance wouldn't cover the whole thing. Rough total, $187,000. My pension plus Harold's life insurance and our investments had been comfortable. Now the principal was noticeably thinner. If I lived to 85 or 90, as the actuarial tables suggested, I might need every penny. I closed the folder and stared at the wall. For the first time in years, I asked myself a simple question: why am I still doing this? The answer was brutal and liberating at the same time. Because I've been terrified of being alone. But I was already alone. The next morning, I called my real estate agent, Mrs. Patel, whom I'd known since she sold us this house in 1982. "Margaret, how are you?" she asked warmly. "I'd like to sell the house," I said. Silence for 2 beats. "Are you moving somewhere smaller?" "I'm moving somewhere mine," I answered. She didn't push. We set an appointment for the following week. Over the next days, I quietly contacted a financial advisor, a referral from my church friend Helen, met with a lawyer to review my will, and started researching condos. I found one online: 2 bedrooms, 2nd floor, balcony overlooking the bay. Not huge, but bright, modern, with an elevator and a community pool, walking distance to a bookstore, a cafe, and the waterfront path Harold and I used to stroll. Price, $385,000. I could pay cash. No mortgage, no dependents, no guilt. The house sold faster than expected. 4 offers in the first weekend, closed in 30 days. I netted $612,000 after fees. Harold would have been proud. We bought it for $89,000 in 1982. I moved in mid-August. The new place smelled of fresh paint and possibility. I unpacked slowly, hung Harold's old nautical clock above the television, placed our wedding photo on the mantel, bought myself a bright blue armchair, something cheerful I'd never allowed before because it's extravagant. On September 3rd, my phone finally rang. Daniel. "Mom, where are you? We went by the house. There's a sold sign. What's going on?" I was sitting on my balcony with tea, watching sailboats. "I sold it," I said calmly. "Why didn't you tell us?" "Because it was my decision." A long pause. "Are you okay? Did something happen? Health stuff?" "I'm fine. Better than fine." Another pause. "Sarah and Ethan are freaking out. They think maybe you got scammed or something." "I didn't." "Then where are you living?" "In a condo by the water. I like it here." Silence stretched so long I thought the call dropped. "Mom," he finally said, voice lower, "we need to talk, all of us. This isn't like you." "It's exactly like the new me," I replied. I hung up gently. The group text arrived 30 minutes later. "Sarah, Mom, what is happening? Daniel said you sold the house. Call us, please." "Ethan, seriously, Mom, this is scary. Are you being taken advantage of?" "Daniel, we're coming over tomorrow. We need to see you're okay." I didn't respond. The next afternoon, they all arrived. Daniel, his wife Jenna, Sarah, her husband Mark, Ethan, and his wife Lauren. They even brought the older grandkids. They stood awkwardly in the small lobby until the doorman buzzed them up. When I opened the door, their faces were a mixture of confusion, worry, and something else: entitlement mixed with panic. The condo wasn't huge, but it was mine. Sunlight poured through the windows. A vase of fresh sunflowers sat on the counter, flowers I'd bought for myself. "Wow," Sarah said, looking around. "This is nice." "It is," I agreed. Daniel cleared his throat. "Mom, we're worried. You sold the family home without telling anyone. That's a big decision." "It was my home," I corrected, "and it's still the family home in memory. I just don't live there anymore." Ethan stepped forward. But what about holidays? Where will we go for Christmas? Thanksgiving? I smiled thinly. You can invite me to your homes, or we can meet at a restaurant, or not at all. Those are options now. Jenna, Daniel's wife, looked uncomfortable. Margaret, we love you. We didn't realize you were unhappy. You didn't ask, I said simply. Silence fell again. Sarah's eyes filled. This is about your birthday, isn't it? We feel awful. We were at the lake and… You were at the lake, I interrupted. For a week. Posting pictures, celebrating each other, and not one person thought to call or text or include me in any way. Not even a happy birthday grandma from the kids. Lily, the 16-year-old, looked at the floor. Ava whispered, I wanted to call, but Mom said you'd be busy. I looked at Sarah. She flushed. I didn't want to bother you, she mumbled. You never bother me by remembering I exist, I said. Ethan rubbed his neck. Mom, we messed up, big time, but selling the house, that's permanent. What if you regret it? I already regret the last 10 years more than this move, I answered. Daniel took a breath. Okay, cards on the table. We've leaned on you a lot financially. We know that. But we're family. Families help each other. Help is temporary and reciprocal, I said. What I gave wasn't help. It was expected subsidy. There's a difference. Mark, Sarah's husband, spoke for the first time. What are you saying? You're cutting us off completely? I'm saying I'm no longer your default safety net. If any of you face genuine crisis, medical, sudden unemployment, something real, I'll consider helping. But vacations, bigger houses, deserved getaways, that chapter is closed. Lauren, Ethan's wife, looked stricken. But the grandkids, college is coming up. I set up 529 accounts years ago, I reminded her. They're still there. I didn't touch them. But additional extras, they'll need scholarships, part-time jobs, or student loans, like most people. The room went very quiet. Sarah started crying softly. I didn't realize how much we hurt you. I know. That's the problem. You didn't realize. I offered coffee. Some accepted. We sat awkwardly in the living room. After half an hour, Daniel spoke again. Can we start over? Maybe plan a proper birthday dinner for you. Late, but still. I considered it. Maybe next year, I said, if you remember on the actual day. They left subdued. Hugs were tentative, promises vague. Over the following months, things shifted slowly. Sarah called every Sunday, just to talk, no requests. Daniel invited me to Ava's school play. I went, sat in the front row. Ava waved at me during curtain call. Ethan texted photos of the kids, not asking for money, just sharing. Christmas 2026. They invited me to Sarah's house. I brought presents I chose myself, books, art supplies, a telescope for Mason, no envelopes of cash. We ate turkey, laughed, took pictures that included me. It wasn't perfect, old habits die hard, but it was honest. And for the first time in decades, my birthday, July 9th, 2027, started with 37 notifications before 9 a.m. Texts, voice messages, a video from all 3 grandkids singing happy birthday, off-key but enthusiastic. Sarah said, we're taking you to that Italian place you love, 6 p.m., no excuses. Daniel said, already reserved the table. Love you, Mom. Ethan said, the kids made you a card, it's glitter-bombed. Sorry in advance. I sat on my balcony with morning coffee, watching the water sparkle, and smiled. 71 felt lighter than 70 ever did. I wasn't rich anymore, not in the way I used to be, but I was wealthy in something far better. I finally belonged to myself.